Hi, I'm your host, Marsha Florence with Just Ask Podcast Live. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for tuning in. As you know, I always have some resources for you. So, I like to have some of our returning guests to come back. Why? Because they always have a great source of resource that you and I both need. So this gentleman comes to see us periodically, and I just enjoy having him come. Why? Because, like I said, in the legal sense of the way, some things we don't know or we're unsure about, and this attorney here, elder care attorney Jim Schuster, enlightens us on a lot of resources that are out there in the community that you and I both are in need of, whether you are the elderly person themselves or the caregiver or the children of an elderly person who is in need of services. Who do we get our resources from in our legal team? Jim Schuster. So without further ado, we're going to introduce you today to our returning guest, certified elder care attorney, Jim Schuster. Good afternoon, Jim.
Good afternoon. It's so good to be back with you, Marsha.
Thank you.
What a
Thank
lucky
you.
day we're having today.
Yes. I'm always enlightened when you come because every time you come, we get some resources that we know little about or is coming through the pipelines.
Yes. Well, we got big news for today, that's for sure. But I'll let you do all the introductions.
Yes. Well, I want to tell everybody it's breaking news, new laws introducing. Well, wait a minute. What's this title of this show is Stop Unfair Medicare. No, did I say
No,
that?
Medicaid.
Medicaid. Stop Unfair Medicaid Recoveries Act. Now, Jim, you got to fill us in on that because I'm even floored at it when I saw it. So, what
Oh,
is that? I see we got breaking news. New law introducing in Congress the first week of March to end Medicaid Estate Recovery. This bill is called Stop Unfair Medicaid Recoveries Act. What is that?
well, in short, what Medicaid Estate Recovery means is a family can lose their house to pay Medicaid for services rendered. Now, let's just be clear at the top of the hour. This is not about Medicare. Medicare is entirely safe and good. This is about Medicaid.
Mm-hmm.
So if somebody gets Medicaid long-term services after age 55, their family, after they die, if their property goes through probate, their family have to pay back Medicaid every dollar, no matter how much it is. It could be $60,000, could be $180,000. The family is going to have to pay it back. Now, let me stop right there.
Mm-hmm.
When I say the family, I really mean the property of the person, the recipient, whatever goes through probate, that won't go to the family. It'll first go to Medicaid. Then, if there's anything left, the children and the, family can then have whatever crumbs are left. So,
Wow.
okay, I'm just trying to be clear. Marsha, am I confusing things?
No, yeah, I think it's a subject that we definitely need to talk about because I'm sure the public is unaware of it.
Nobody's aware of it. I'll
Right.
tell you, just nobody's aware of it. They like to say this law is being introduced the first week of March. The Free Press is supposed to have a big article on it, so I hope everybody reads that when it comes
Mm-hmm.
out.
Mm-hmm.
But let's talk about how, who could be affected by this. So I'd like to go through some of the programs that people might, apply for and not know that they're going to, after they die, their property going through probate will be used to pay back the state of Michigan. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yes.
All right. So let's take it from the top. So ideally, this is not a new bill, or is this a bill or act? What is this?
It's introduced in the Congress, House of Representatives, and they call it a bill. It
Okay.
becomes an act when it's passed by House and Senate, and the president signs it. So this is just the introduction of a bill, first week of March.
Okay. But how long has this bill been in existence that we're just not really becoming aware of it?
Okay, now what happened? This bill was introduced in the last session of Congress. We talked about it last year. Now, if we talk about this Medicaid estate recovery, I would just say back in 1993, when the long-term care insurance industry thought they could sell a lot of policies. And so what the idea was, if you don't buy our policies, then you might be having the state, come back and demand the family sell the house to pay the bills. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
That idea failed. long-term care insurance got to be too expensive for families, and even if they paid on it for 5 years, when premiums got to like $5,000 a year, they couldn't afford the policy anymore. They didn't get their money back. They just lost all the investment.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
That's hard.
So let's talk about today. And let me just introduce the subject again. We're talking about Medicaid, please, not Medicare.
Okay.
And
Correct.
well, who does this apply to? Little
Mm-hmm.
families and children? No. It applies to people over age 55, 55. And if you get help in home or in a nursing home or in the hospital, it's covered. So let's talk about what Medicaid programs we're talking about. One, Medicaid to help pay for hospital co-pays, et cetera, whatever they are. Two, Medicaid to pay for nursing home, long-term care, okay, whatever, however long it is. Three, Medicaid to pay for hospice care. Four, Medicaid to pay for the program called My Choice Waiver. Five, Medicaid to pay for the program called ACE. Six, Medicaid to pay what they call a home health program. That's where they come and help somebody with their medications in home.
Right.
Medicaid, final one, Medicaid to pay for help in home help. Let's give a little picture. Let's say daughter's 55 in her peak of her career, and her mom, age 85, needs lots of help in home. So mom doesn't have savings. She's a proud, independent woman. And so, daughter says, okay, we'll get this program to get you help in home. Might be My Choice Waiver, might be home help.
Mm-hmm.
What a lot of people don't learn is that those are the payback programs, okay? The ones I just listed.
Mm-hmm.
And if you take them, if you have anything that goes through probate, state of Michigan is going to be right there saying, we want our money first. Before anybody gets anything, you got to give us their money and pay back.
Wow.
Now, Marcia, I know we know how unfair this is. Pardon me, I'll quit talking if I should stop. But let's just compare. Medicare will pay $100,000 for cardiac care. No problem. They don't want anything back. It's yours. You pay taxes on it. Medicaid pays, say, a little bit of hospital bill, a little bit of leftovers, whatever your co-pays or deductibles. They say, we want it all back. Even if it's only like $5,000, $10,000, we want it all back. So it's just really grossly unfair.
But Jim, isn't that a deterrent for people to have the Medicaid coverage? I mean, this sounds like, if you have a choice, you probably don't want to get Medicaid because it's like, well, wait a minute, my home will be in a state, at risk if I take this coverage. Do we have options, or there is no such thing as option?
Well, I would say the short answer is, you're talking to a lawyer, so you know what my short answer is. You got to see an elder law attorney to stay out of this trap, okay? But let me just give you an example. I mean, Marcia, I just want to focus this. A lot of people know, well, if you go to the nursing home, you're going to run the Medicaid. But what a lot of people don't know, if you get help in home, you're over 55, Medicaid's still going to come after you, okay?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So the unfortunate answer is to avoid this, see a lawyer. And if you need legal aid services or whatever, that's a little bit down the road or later in our story. But that's about the only way around it.
Okay, because I'm going to say there's a lot of people can't afford a lawyer, so they're looking at like, well, what's the next choice here?
Well, you would try hopefully you could get information from area agency on aging about, do they know free legal aid lawyers or, low income lawyers that, won't charge you a lot. Sometimes, I'll tell you the truth, sometimes the children have to step up, and mom's a proud woman, but if she doesn't have the money for a lawyer, what are you going to do,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Wow. Okay. I mean, that's a heavy blow to a family that, you have like you said, the parent, and then they're of age that they need medical assistance or extenuating medical assistance. And so the entire family is unaware of the fact that their home is in jeopardy. They don't even know that. They just look at it like, we got this coverage here for mom, and she can go into a facility or get home care, and everything's good. Now, at the end of the time of the parent, the passing or whatever, everything goes into probate. And so
Yes.
it's like it's turning the wheels. Once it hits probate, before the family can divvy up anything, here comes the Medicaid saying, "Give me back, give us back our money because we put in for
Right.
this for the long run." Okay, that's a lot. That's
And
scary.
our next little segment, don't forget, I do want to mention, well, what can people do before applying for Medicaid? Can they give
Hmm.
money away? No. We can talk about that. But like I say, this is not, within the homes at risk or everything, this isn't a do-yourself project. But we will cover a little bit of that. That's fair.
Okay, okay. So ideally, what can a listener do? I know we have a little response about, answer, contact your representative in Congress, but, what all those things can we do?
Okay. Now, the things that we could do, I mean, let's go a little slow. Marcia, you're exactly right. Nobody knows about this. And quite frankly, last time when it was out, I went to Rashida Tlaib's, local office, talked to Alyssa Slotkin's local office. I think Sharif Thanadar, pardon me, how to pronounce his name properly.
Canada. Mm-hmm.
And go to those offices and say, what's this Medicaid estate recovery thing? And you know what they said? Representative said, no, we don't know what it is. We'll check on it. I mean, these are in offices of people in Congress. Okay, we're not talking the city of Detroit offices, not talking to your state of Michigan representative or senator. These are people right in Congress. They're, local offices here in Detroit, and they don't know about it. So what can people do? Well, aside, once you take care of your own affairs, we'll talk about what to do there. Then I would say start contacting your state senator representative and say, do you know about this thing? What is if you're a Democrat, what does your party think about this thing? Okay, contact the congressional representative's office. Once again, Rashida Tlaib, Sharif
Mm-hmm.
Anadar, all the reps around here, and say, do you know about this thing? Well, what's your position on it? Do you think it's a good idea for me to lose my for mom to lose her
Right.
home just because she
Right.
needs help?
Right.
Start getting on it. And if there's TV programs, radio programs, start raising the fire alarm, all the
Wow.
alarm.
Wow. I mean, Jim, I'm glad you came to join us today to give us the awareness about this, because a lot of people, I mean, somebody every day that's got a home in probate, got all their stuff in probate, and they're waiting on their court date to have the issue resolved. It's enough that family members are bickering amongst each other about a home, and other properties. But then when you find out you may not be the recipient because there's a organization before you that says, "Hey, we're looking for our refund or our return for the care
Yeah.
of your loved one." That's the
Yeah.
shocking part. So, we do need to get up on this so that we know that we have a chance to save our family business or family house, or property,
Yeah.
period. I am
That's right.
really surprised at this particular bill here.
Yeah.
But let me ask you this. So, if a person, like you said, receive any of these particular services, Medicaid hospice, Medicaid hospital services programs, all inclusive for care for the elderly through PACE, those are the ones that they should have a concern about if they're utilizing their
That's
Medicaid.
right. And
Okay. Okay.
Medicaid, thank you. And
Okay. Thank
don't
you.
forget My Choice Waiver. It's a very highly advertised program.
Yes, it
Every
is.
agency administers that one. They should tell people too.
Yes, it is.
Absolutely.
Okay. But
So,
outside of
Mark,
those particular core groups, is the family's pretty much safe, or they still should investigate to find out that there may be other agencies and organizations that are participating in this too?
okay. Now, you're quite right. That is exactly the question. This doesn't apply to, let's say, church groups or, benevolent, for sororities, fraternities, or other kind of help group. This is only the government program called Medicaid. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
The government program. If it's private from a church or charity or, whatever, or the city of Detroit, let's just say, no, this is all about the federal Medicaid program. So, okay. And the state administers it. So I'm just trying to give context Once again, Marcia, this shows an introduction. If somebody wants to really investigate, they
Okay.
got to go further on it.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
But
Okay.
if you got time now, let's say this, like you said, what if mom is receiving my choice waiver assistance? Now, what that means is she qualified for Medicaid. That means she only has like $2,000 in the bank. Well, what is she allowed to have? Well, she spent everything down to $2,000 or less in the bank. Okay, she has her home, let's say, or in her little car, and maybe some insurance policy or whatever. If that's the case, I would say talk to a lawyer, talk to legal aid, talk to somebody and say, what should we do to avoid probate that Medicaid will not get on us? Okay,
Mm-hmm.
let's go right to that. Can mom give away the house? No, she cannot. Before she applies for Medicaid, can she give all the money away, then go downtown and wherever and apply? No, she cannot. Medicaid has rules against giving away money, property.
Mm-hmm.
So once again, we're trying to let people know there's an issue, and the proper way to deal with it is go to somebody who can really help you. Okay?
Okay.
So let me try to paint that picture again. I rolled through it real fast. What is Medicaid? Well, we talked about the names of the programs. How does somebody qualify? They can only have like $2,000 in the bank. They can have a home. They can have a car. And they can have all the internal possessions, but anything more like bonds or money in the bank or IRA, no, got to be all spent. Okay,
Wow.
so once again, we got the application picture. Now, what about the other end? Plan to avoid probate. And we talked about that. I'm just trying to summarize once again, go
Mm-hmm.
through it one more time. If mom cannot give away the home, mom cannot really give away the car because it's registered with the state of Michigan. They'll find out about that.
Mm-hmm.
So in that case, see somebody who can help out, a lawyer, elder law lawyer, elder care attorney, legal aid, maybe area agency and agent can kind of give you a little bit of steer. Okay. Hopefully that wasn't too
Well,
all at once.
but no, but I got to cut into that because what happens if the family, if the parents have already made arrangements for the house to be deeded to someone else, and that information is just on hold until the parent transitions to a nursing home facility.
Yeah.
So if my mom said, well, use the money to take care of me or whatever, but I'm going to give you kids the house and here's the deed. It's been signed over already. Isn't that a conflict?
Well, that is. And see, here's the funny thing. When under Governor Jennifer Granholm back in 2007, we didn't have this Medicaid estate recovery. Then she got notice from the Florida federal government saying, if you don't have a state recovery part of your Medicaid program, we're shutting you down. So that's
Okay.
in 2007, that's when it in place. Okay. That's
Okay.
when it happened. Initially, they didn't tell a lot of people. So the key here, what happened was we got the most limited form of Medicaid state recovery possible. States like Ohio are much more aggressive in grabbing joint accounts, going after anything they can find. Okay. And Michigan is strictly limited to probate. So if, once again, if you avoid probate a smart way, okay, and let's go to the deed you're talking about. The deed will
Mm-hmm.
clearly avoid probate. Mom says the deed's house is going to be yours, children, and if I go to nursing home, I'm going to give you the deed. What's
Mm-hmm.
wrong with that? The deed cannot be a lifetime transfer. It can be a transfer on death. Okay, it can be a transfer on death. If she adds kids to the joint ownership of the home, Medicaid is going to have a problem with that. They're going to say, you're not eligible.
Mm-hmm.
You gave away property during your lifetime. So it has to be a transfer on death deed, sometimes
Wow.
called ladybird deed. So this is not do-it-yourself at home stuff. I mean, maybe you know what to do, but you got to check and run it past an attorney. Otherwise, things will blow up on you badly.
You got that right. This is a method of check and balance before you allow yourself to be open to the fact that you need to consider one of these programs, one of these facilities, or one of these services. I mean, I'm surprised at the pace. So it's like, well, everybody's trying to figure out what's the better plan for their loved ones as they're aging. And no one has an idea or even an inkling that their Medicaid will be subjected to what's going to happen in probate. No, nobody has a clue, and everybody's just trying to make sure that they take care of their loved one, get some, proper resources for them, and all is well. Now, at the end of the line, when that person has passed on, excuse my expression, all hell's gonna break loose, because now somebody's saying you're not the owner of this property anymore, and this has to be, turned over or something for a bill that's astronomical because we care for your loved one. That is, I'm serious. That is so scary. I hope people who watch today and in the future, when they see this segment, that they'll understand we got to do some legwork here. So let me ask you this: do we have a time frame to ask for, this situation to be investigated, or how do we stop this from going any further in the future?
Okay. So once again, like you said at the top of the program, there's a bill being introduced in the Congress, first week of March, called the Stop Unfair Medicaid Recoveries Act. Once again, anybody knows, if you turn on the nightly news, you'd never hear anything about this. All you're going to hear is the border, the economy, the presidential race. That's all you're going to hear about. So what to do is contact any government official, whether it's city, whether it's state, all the actions in the federal, but believe me, the Detroit, representatives, the mayor, they have some influence with what happens in the Michigan members of Congress, okay? So in Detroit, when the mayor calls, they pick up the phone. So if he starts hearing lots of things from his people in Detroit, or whether it's Southfield or Warren or you name it, Livonia, the mayor, he's going to pick up the phone and say, what's going on here? We got to stop this. Okay. So right now, the message today is a bill is being introduced. The bill is not law. It just needs support. Contact all of our congressional representatives and say, I want you to support this right now.
Okay.
Go to senior centers, go to church groups, spread the word.
Yeah.
And we also have information that we're available. We
should be reaching out to Talib and Debbie Dingle and Alyssa Stockland and Haley Stevens and Sherrod Trinidad. So we still should be in contact with them too. Okay.
Absolutely, because they should support it and get very active on it. Yes.
Okay. Well, I hope our viewers is paying attention, Jim. I really do. I hope that they I'm paying attention because, I feel like I have to have a plan in motion. So as I'm in the baby booming age or whatever, we're like making plans in case something happens. And we have no idea that this is on the table here. So I definitely have to get this word out about this particular act so people can be prepared. And hopefully we can catch it in time to have something done about it. It doesn't seem right to me at all. I don't get it. Your family worked so hard to have this home for so long or this property or whatever, and then it's like, whoop, sucked up.
Yeah. And as they say in the politician circles, you're taxpayers. That's how you got the home. So let's just say, let's let the listeners know, especially those who are college educated and like to read things. We have a complete article on the subject if they want to actually read some legal writing.
Okay. All right. So we definitely want people to be able to read about it and get a more clarification on what it is so that they won't be saying, I didn't know. I didn't know. But of course they're going to say they didn't know. But let me ask you, so these programs that have this on the table, do they discuss it with the families when they're working with them, or do they just go ahead and process the paperwork because, okay, well, you're entering into PACE, you're entering into hospice. This is nothing that they actually give you knowledge of.
Well, put it this way. In the application, typically after you put in all that information, name, date, social security number, bank account, home, you name it, all that stuff, there's a little paragraph at the end saying, the program, you might be, this program has estate recovery on it, and might have to pay property going through probate. Believe me, people just see the little paragraphs, they say, come on, I just want to sign this thing and get the help for mom or dad or for
Wow.
myself or for my wife.
That's that. That's that.
Yeah.
Well, Jim, I'm running out of time, but I got to have you come back again. Will you come back again?
Oh, absolutely. But Marcia, we got to make sure we got to leave the listeners look for the Free Press article,
Yes.
talk
Yes.
to everybody, give my office a call. We got to have people, this is a fire alarm, I say.
Yep, we got that number up there, Jim, and we're trying to make sure that people are aware that on March 6th, ladies and gentlemen, look for that information, okay? Be aware of what's coming down the pipes, okay? So this is important. Stop Unfair Medicaid Recoveries Act. All right.
Yes.
So hold that thought for me, Jim, and I'll be right back.
Thank you.
This isn't a workout video. It's about how LLS has helped blood cancer patients like me thrive and how your donation can help countless others. Please give today at lls.org.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, when Jim Schuster come and tell us something, it's worth listening to, okay? And a lot of our guests, everybody that we have, we want you to gather some resource from or, find out what you need. And if you can be useful for you, fine. If it can't be useful to you, it's useful to somebody else you know. So please feel free if you want. You can catch us every Wednesday morning on PBS Channel 56 at 5:30 a.m. or our several cable stations, Comcast Detroit, Comcast Southfield, Birmingham, Bloomfield, Troy, Lake Orange, East Lansing, River Rouge, you name it. If we haven't got there yet, we will. All right. Okay. So what do I always say? I'm your host, Marcia Florence for Just Ask. If you just have a general question about a person with a disability, if you have a question about a person with a disability or just a general question, don't be afraid to ask Just Ask. I'm your host. See you next time.